Maria Mandel was one of the executed Nazi criminals whose life ended at a fairly young age. She had a rapid career in the camps of the Third Reich and a reputation for cruelty among her colleagues. What set Maria Mandel apart from other wardens, and why did the court sentence her to death? On January 12, 1912, a girl was born into a German shoemaker's family in Austria, in the city of Munskirchen. Maria grew up as an obedient child, receiving only a primary education. After completing elementary school, she secured a job at the nearest post office. Since childhood, Maria had a deep love for music, a passion that would stay with her throughout her life. Information about the Mandel family is scarce, but it's safe to assume they did not live in prosperity. However, one day, Maria made a life-altering decision. At the age of 26, she relocated to Munich and joined the SS Women's Auxiliary Unit. A few months after her move, Maria Mandel secured a position as a supervisor in one of the earliest German concentration camps, Lichtenberg. Initially, this camp held German citizens who had fallen out of favor with the fascist regime. These prisoners were later transferred to larger camps like Buchenwald and Dachau. It's worth noting that women willingly entered the camp system, and while there were formal regulations governing the interaction between wardens and prisoners, in reality, the camps were characterized by arbitrariness. Before you continue watching, please subscribe to my channel and like it. Of course, this is optional, the main thing is to be sincere. Mandel made a favorable impression on the leadership and was soon transferred to Ravensbrück camp, where her career continued to ascend. She eventually became the senior warden of the camp, assuming greater responsibilities and wielding more power. Subsequently, she joined the NSDAP and climbed even higher in the hierarchy. Ultimately, Maria Mandel held the reins of the Auschwitz-Birkenau camp, where the lives of thousands of prisoners were at her command. Her duties included assigning jobs for concentration camp prisoners, compiling lists for extermination, and overseeing their implementation, along with administering punishments. How did Maria, with only a fourth-grade education, manage to achieve such a remarkable career ascent? Colleagues noted her exceptional efficiency, and her personal qualities and ambitions played a significant role. Her cruelty became evident early in her career and eventually earned her a notorious reputation. Now, Maria was unrecognizable, donning a strict uniform and expensive stockings and shoes, in stark contrast to her former post office role. As the head of the camps, one of Maria Mandel's preferred pastimes was selecting a prisoner as her toy, someone who became her confidant. She would spend her free time with this person and might even bestow gifts upon them. However, once she grew weary of her toy, they would be sent to the gas chamber. Surviving Auschwitz prisoners recount an incident when women with children arrived at the camp, and a young Polish boy approached Mandel. To everyone's surprise, nothing terrible happened. Maria sympathetically embraced the boy, briefly caring for him, but the episode ended tragically. It is clear that Maria felt no personal attachment and could easily take the life of any individual, let alone those she had never met. Her conscience did not hinder her from subjecting prisoners to public punishments and deadly medical experiments. Mandel's achievements were recognized with the award of the Cross for Military Merit of the Second Degree, a distinction almost unique among women. Despite her involvement in numerous deaths, Maria still had a love for music, and her position allowed her to establish her own orchestra. In 1943, she personally authorized the formation of Auschwitz's first female orchestra, which played music while prisoners went to work. Orchestra members were housed in the best barracks and provided with top-quality uniforms. The orchestra featured violins, cellos, guitars, and accordions, with the Viennese violinist Alma Rose serving as its conductor. Remarkably, Maria Mandel even attended Alma's funeral later on. On one hand, most members of the orchestra survived to be eventually released, and there are memoirs that provide insights into their experiences within the orchestra and their relationships. However, on the other hand, life in the camp was far from easy for them. Sometimes they were required to play the same compositions repeatedly to the point of exhaustion, regardless of weather conditions. Furthermore, they were compelled to perform music that glorified the fascist regime, which was responsible for destroying their families and countries. This dichotomy must have been a profound emotional struggle for the performers, as they were forced to sing the praises of a regime responsible for their personal tragedies. One notable admirer of the orchestra was the infamous Angel of Death, Dr. Joseph Mengele, who visited the orchestra barracks to listen to Robert Schumann's collection Scenes from Childhood. On weekends, the Maria Mandel Orchestra held concerts specifically for SS members, providing a source of relaxation and enjoyment for Mandel's colleagues. For Maria, organizing the orchestra was considered one of her accomplishments. It is known that Maria Mandel was in a romantic relationship with Karl Bischoff. Whether their relationship was deep love or a fleeting romance remains uncertain. Karl, aside from overseeing construction at Auschwitz, held a significant position within the SS. Before the outbreak of World War II, he was an architect, and afterward, he became the chief builder of crematoriums and the designer of gas chambers. After the war, Karl Bischoff's guilt and involvement with the SS were not proven, and he quietly lived out the rest of his days, passing away in 1950. In early 1945, as Allied forces liberated more and more occupied territories, Maria decided to flee to her native Austria through the Alps. However, her parents refused to shelter her, and justice eventually caught up with her at her sister's house in Schardenberg. The first Auschwitz trial occurred in Krakow at the end of 1947. 40 Nazi criminals faced a military tribunal, and 23 of them received the death penalty, which was carried out by hanging. Maria Mandel was convicted of mass murder, with evidence indicating that she personally caused the deaths of 35,000 men, women, and children. Her high position in the camp system and her direct involvement in the decision-making process regarding who should die led to her receiving a sentence as severe as that of the SS High Command. She could not claim that she was merely following orders since she effectively managed the camp system herself. During interrogations, she openly discussed her work in the camps without attempting to justify her actions. There was indisputable evidence against her and other Auschwitz executioners, including nearly 70 volumes of criminal case files, each about 200 pages long, containing witness statements from prisoners detailing the tortures. All of this served as confirmation of the genocide of Slavs and Jews. Maria Mandel awaited the execution of her sentence for approximately a month, during which she shared a cell with another warden, Teresa Brandl. Before her execution, Maria exclaimed, "Long life Poland!" Whether this expression was sincere remains uncertain, as admitting guilt could not entirely absolve her of the justice she faced. Maria Mandel was 36 years old at the time of her execution. Subscribe to my channel and like it. See you soon.